Alright everybody, for a change, I'm going to talk about a new game. See, my birthday was February, and I got my wife to buy me a game later in the year. Hey, that game I wanted for my birthday is coming out tomorrow. Okay. $60.
What? $60?
It's for my birthday. Fine. And that game was Neo, The World Ends With You. Now, if you don't know what happened in the first World Ends With You, I do have a video game plot summary available up in the corner. This game is about two young teenagers, Fret and Rendo, getting sucked into a game called the Reaper's Game. This game happens in the underground Tokyo, which allows the two players to see and hear and interact with everybody passively. They can't touch anyone or talk to them directly. They have to use a variety of psychic tricks to nudge everybody into doing what is needed. The Reaper's Game consists of 5 teams, and all of them are trying to gain points to be on top of the leaderboard so that they can have whatever their wish granted. The last place team dies. They gain these points by completing daily missions. I have a lot to say about this game. The general gist of everything is that I have a real love-hate relationship with it. The things that I like about this game, I love about this game. The things I dislike about this game, I really hate about this game. And I absolutely don't believe that this game is worth the money at release, just because my experience with it wasn't as enjoyable as most games I play on the PS4. First, let's start with the good things. The art direction is awesome. The characters are really overdone, but it's fine. I mean, they're not edgelords. I don't know what it's called when you put so many damn outfits on the person that they have to look stylish. But they're also wearing like 5 layers of clothing. Like Rendo is wearing a hoodie, a long jacket, white wallaby shoes, and a face mask that he never covers his face with. That's a bit much, but I get it. The characters still look good. The environments and the 3D models are true to the artwork, and the city looks very populated. The fighting and extra activities are fun. The way it works is that, just like the first one, you collect pins that give you psychic powers, and then you can put the pin on so that you can use your powers. But unlike the first game, where you have one of the 2 teammates using the pin psychs and the other one just fights, this one has one character using 1 pin at a time, and usually you have 3 or more people on your team. Each pin you use is assigned to a button on your controller, but the game limits the type of pins you can use at once, and you also have to recharge them once they're used. There is a super move that you can use that you get by chaining combos together and building up a groove percentage. The higher your groove past 100%, the stronger your super move will be.
How's that? Let's keep it going now! Ain't no stopping now! We got Number this. 1 bites the dust!
And the super move you use will correlate with the last person to activate the combo chain. Does that sound easy to understand? Doing the groove super move is pretty important, so it's important to put in pins that help you chain the combos. The pins range in attacks from rapid fire to melee combos to bombs and throwing trash to kamehamehas. Here's the thing, most of these pins are utterly friggin' useless. Ideally, you would want to pick the pins that create the best combos so that you can do your super move. However, a lot of these pins will stifle those combos, so they're useless. So usually you'll stick to certain pins and exchange them when you find one that is upgraded. Or you will really get into collecting pins and mastering them while you are grinding. What I really like is that when you look at your pins in your inventory, they play a little video of what the pin does. That's so helpful. In order to initiate fights, you have to go into a different realm where you can see all of the noise, which is the game's name for bad guys. Then you run across them and suck them in, and you can suck in more than one and create a chain, which will save you some load times. The game also lets you tweak the difficulty. You can up the difficulty, and when you fight the noise, they will drop better pins. Or you could lower your level, and they will drop more pins that are normal. Or you can do both, of course, if you're really greedy. The pins also become your currency. You sell the pins at any store and use the money to purchase clothing that will give you stat boosts. Going up a level raises your stats, but if you want your stats to really raise, you will buy and eat food at the restaurants. So the grinding loop goes, eat food until mostly full, engage as high a chain of enemies as you can handle until your stomach is empty, then eat more food. You will also have a relationship map that will allow you to get mechanic buffs and extra items in the store. You have to spend friendship points on the certain person that you want the buffs from. And in order to get friendship points, you have to help random people out on the streets who are having small issues. Like maybe they're afraid to open a restaurant because their food isn't good enough, or they lost their wallet, or some crap like that. A lot of these buffs are pretty great, so you will want to help as many people as you can, even if you don't give a crap about their stupid lives and their stupid stories. Because you won't. I mean, that dude lost a wallet. I don't care. Why don't you retrace your steps and stop being an idiot? He's just standing there.
Hey, what's that? I don't have any. I thought I had some money to buy something for my girlfriend. And then I found that I lost my wallet.
Why are you standing there then? Go back. Find your wallet, dummy. Anyway. He had really baggy clothes on. It was very weird. I don't know why it pissed me off so much, but it did. Like, his clothes were all baggy, and he's standing there all like, my wallet's gone. Like, dude, you got your little pair of fake Jinko jeans or whatever, then go ahead and get that chain for your stupid little kitty cat wallet, man. Stupid. Anyway. My kids get mad at me if I use the word stupid, so I gotta kind of stop doing it, even though that's stupid. Maybe I'll just use dumb instead. So dumb. Anyway, compared to the original game on Nintendo DS, in these ways, this game is superior. What they added here is a step up for sure. The fighting system to me is just as fun as what they did with the stylus, and I'm very glad for that. But everything else is better. The music in the first one was great, and the soundtrack here is the music of the first one with the added tracks from the same artists and some new ones, and all of them gel very well with the game. Now let's talk about the stuff that sucks. This story is kind of bad because there's not much of it, and they try to stretch it out like taffy, if anybody remembers what taffy is. In the last game, the Reaper's game had a couple of plots that moved along seamlessly, and by the end of the story, I really had no idea where Neku would end up. Every character had a story arc, and you really cared why they were there and how they died. The citizens of Shibuya also had running narratives that would play into the Reaper's game. So if you saw someone talking about something on day 1, then on day 7, that same person in the streets would need your help somehow. But in this game, the characters don't really have any story arc. They were people in the normal RG, the real ground, who haven't experienced any tragedy. And now they are people in the underground that are just trying to get back to the real ground. Okay. It's not like a game like Persona in which all of the characters that join you are people that have some dramatic backstory. And that's really disappointing. There's really nothing that ties you to these characters, and as such, the conversations that they have amongst each other are very one note. Rindo, the leader, is quiet and hesitant. Fret, his bestie, is outgoing but dumb. Nagi is some sort of anime nerd stereotype. And everything they say, and they talk a lot, is pretty vapid. The game follows what I call Final Fantasy syndrome, where if anything is to be discussed, every single person has to say one thing that can be omitted from the conversation completely. And because no one has a story arc in the core group, there is no real conflict or confusion to work out. Long story short, about 80% of the dialogue can be skipped and adds nothing. As a matter of fact, the game goes to great lengths to let you know what the main points of the whole conversations were anyway. They highlight the objectives in red. On the main heads-up display, they put it at the top left-hand corner, and in the pause menu, there is a reminder. Which is great because there are so many distractors in this game that it's hard to stay on task. What I normally do is I'll get most of my fighting and random helping in at the beginning of an objective, and then just run through the story right away. Another thing I hate is that the main character has the power to travel back in time by himself. Which is, to me, one of the more lazy plot devices, and it takes all of the consequence out of the story. Anytime it looks like the team is in trouble, instead of you getting ready to fight your way out of it, which is what I usually want to do because that's how life is, Rindo's power activates and sends him back to the beginning of the objective to change things so there's a more desired outcome. And that means, you guessed it, playing through the exact scenes more than once with a slight change in the dialogue. I hate this type of writing with a passion. I hate having my time wasted, only to have the payoff be something lame like going back in time before anybody faces any consequences. It's the sort of thing that makes me so angry that I have to put the controller down and leave, and then come back to play through the part without being angry about the time of mine that the developers are wasting. I seriously take offense to this because the last game was so masterful at wasting your time. Like, if you're going to waste our time, then at least make some backstories for the characters to fill the time up. Why spend so much time making everything look great artwork-wise if you're going to make the characters so boring in one note? I just don't get it. I mean, I know what you're saying. There's consequences later on in the game, maybe? Maybe it's worth the wait? It is not, okay? I'm sick and tired of having to wait in these stupid stories to find something out that doesn't really pay off at the end. And it doesn't, because I'm pissed. It never pays off. Unless I had absolutely no time, then I guess it would, maybe? But then I would have to forget all the time that the game wasted, which means I wouldn't be doing a second playthrough, right? Anyway, that leads me to my last dislike point. The lack of voice acting in cutscenes. Now, the Nintendo DS didn't have a lot of voice acting, but it had a decent amount of cutscenes with flash animation that were pretty impressive. And this game had one cutscene at the beginning, and the rest is just comic book styled pictures and bubbles. And I suppose they're trying to cover for this by having the characters talk a lot, because they did 3D in the regular game engine, but most of the scenes are drawn. They would try to get away with not making 3D models for lesser used characters. But they could have done like they did in the Nintendo DS and used flash animation to show the transformations and made it look really dope. But instead of that, they just didn't do anything really. Isn't that charming? Seriously, there's boss fights that totally should have looked really great. And then all they did was just kind of show a couple of frames of the 3D model, and then you're fighting the guy. So stupid. Sorry, dumb. With the power of the PS4 and 5, they could have also added a lot more voice acting, and they totally didn't. So you would get a scene voice acted at the beginning and at the end of each objective. But truthfully, they could have voice acted a ton of this game, which would have given them an incentive to not write so many damn lines of dialogue for us to read. This whole game felt like there wasn't much of a budget. A lot of times when you had to fight the bad guys from the other crews, it was the same model reskinned over and over again. There is a woman who leads a group called the Varia Beauties named Kanan. She is a pretty, strong woman. So I assume she is running a group of strong women. But nope. It seems that she was running a group of metrosexual and or gay men that say shit like, "I came to slay." How hard would it have been to make one more model of a woman that you could reskin over and over again? There is a woman in our crew, and can't you just repurpose her model for that? Or is it against society's rules for us as the players to beat up on women who are trying to fight us? So it always has to be men or some sort of female monster or a girl who utilizes a stuffed animal? I guess we are progressive enough to have gay dudes who want to beat us up, but not progressive enough to have women who are trying to fight us. I don't know what that's all about, but it's garbage. Crash. I'll add it to the heap. Anyway, that's all I got. This game is great and terrible at the same time. It's like eating a piece of candy that tastes like chocolate for the first 5 seconds it's in your mouth, and then it tastes like poop for the second 5 seconds it's in your mouth. If you don't mind reading walls of text while staring at still photos to get to some fun gameplay, then have at it. I just hope that this game property gets a do-over, and this isn't the final one. Alright guys, let me know how much you wish this video was the rest of Radiata Stories. But seriously, I needed to take a break on that game because I'm already up to like 30-something pages of script, and I still got like the human story left, and I shouldn't have wrote the script as we go along. I should have wrote the whole script and did the voiceover all together and then did the thing. I'll never do that again. Usually I'll post everything on a weekly basis when I have it all done. But now these videos are so spread out, they're always in the back of my mind torturing me, you know? So I'll get it done eventually, but right now I need to take a break. It's a good thing that Yuzu came through and asked me to do a collaboration on Dark Sector, so that I could take my mind off of Radiata Stories. And this one, I definitely needed to get out there because it was ticking me off. Anyway, so I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.